According to the Canadian press, you now need $1.7 million to retire in Canada. Is this number accurate? How does this equate into a financial plan? I'm going to break down all those numbers and share the software in this video. BMO does a poll every couple of years, and they ask Canadians, how much do you think you need to retire comfortably? And the latest poll came in at $1.7 million. Now, a couple of years ago, it ran at $1.4 million, which I still think is a little bit higher, but again, because of inflation and everything going on in this world, it makes sense. People are fearful, and they should be. They're paying a lot more for groceries, for gas, and everything in between. And the feeling of, I'm going to need a lot more for retirement equates to the answer that BMO came up with at 1.7 million. But is this number really accurate? And if you actually had 1.7 million at retirement, what could that look like within a drawdown of that account? The summer of 2022 saw the highest inflation rates that we've seen in a very long time, when inflation hit 8.1%. By the end of 2022, we saw it cool down to 6.3%, which we're still feeling in our pocketbooks. And the target and the expectation by the end of 2023 is 3%. So within the financial plan that I created here that I'm going to show, I earmarked inflation at 3%. Within this article, it also talks about when does the average person retire. The number that it came out with doesn't surprise me. The average age is age 62. But the number that kind of blew me out of the water here is only 22% of Canadians expect to retire between 60 and 69, which told me that the majority of you plan to retire either earlier or later. And while this surprises me, because most clients we deal with definitely are in that early 60 range, that means there's a lot of people retiring earlier, but I think there's a lot of people that are just working forever, retiring much past 69, which is very concerning to me. Are you retiring past 69 because you don't have a financial plan and you have no idea, or you read articles like this where it says you need 1.7 million and you just don't have it? So is it more of a lack of education and understanding is why you're not retiring, or can you just financially not do it? And have you gone through that process to figure out if you can or not? Now, before we jump into the illustration, a couple other numbers that popped out to me in this article was that just 44% of you feel that you are financially on track for retirement, which is very alarming. I think more of you are on track, you just don't know it. And you need to start educating yourself, watching more channels like this, and doing your homework to figure out how much you do actually need. Run through the process, get a financial plan together, all of that. But less than half of you believe you're on track for retirement, which is very alarming. And the other number that was alarming was only 47% of you actually know how much you need for retirement, meaning that 53% of you out there that they polled anyway, and I think this is pretty average as far as what we hear as well, is more than half of you just have no idea what you need. Again, when articles like this come out and say 1.7 million, I think it's way off. And I want to show you why I think that. So let's jump into the software. So as we go through the software here, you'll see I've put Dave and Ruth YouTube, who we've seen before. I changed their age though. They're 62 years old, February 1st, and from Ontario. We had a BC before. Retiring at age 62 and living till 95. So again, likelihood is they'll pass away before that. So I'm being very conservative, which, you know, if I put this number at age 90 or 85, it's going to bump up that income even more. We put the inflation rate, again, as I mentioned, at 3%. And then rates of return, again, we put the cash at 1%, fixed income at 4%, interest rates are higher, and the default for equity at 5%. And we default to a 5% average rate of return. Again, this couple's retiring, so there's no income for either of them. And then for assets, we want to show that $1.7 million of assets. So I kept it very simple here. Like, why overcomplicate this? We just want to see the numbers. So whether the money is in an RSP or a LIRA, it's not going to matter at the end of the day. But I did $750,000 of RRSP for Dave and $100,000 in TFSA, and the exact same thing for Ruth. So they each have equal amounts of money, $100,000 each in TFSA, $750,000 in the RRSP. For government benefits, when we talk about both CPP and old age security, what we did here is, you know, if someone has accumulated $1.7 million of assets, the likelihood is they've had decent income years, thus they've paid a fair amount into CPP. So when we actually break down the software here, you'll see I've only earmarked the CPP at the national average, which is 56.06%. So I've left it at that. I've also left it at age 65. I haven't worked on CPP timing here. That's not the purpose of this illustration. So I've left both CPP and OAS at 65. they will get maximum OAS at 65, and again, the national average of CPP. So this is very conservative because at the end of the day, I think there's two things here that are going to sway the numbers, that the numbers should actually be higher than what we're showing here, which is, are they going to live till 95? Not likely, which means that if we drop back to 90 or 85, it's going to give them more money. And then secondly, I think they're going to be very close to 90 to 95% CPP, not 56% CPP. Again, much more income for them. So as we jump back into the software here, you'll see that, if we put that 1.7 million, again, this is account value at the end of the year, 1.686. We have CPP and OAS starting at age 65 for both of them. You can see in real dollars, $89,000, just a hair over $89,000 for life. So if I scroll all the way down to 95, that hasn't changed. So that $89,409 is all the way down to age 95. Again, that number is after tax in their pocket and adjusted for inflation. So if we look at the nominal dollar column beside it, you'll see that number increases every year. And that is the actual dollar amount they'll have in their pocket every single year to keep up with the buying power. And again, we've set that inflation at 3%. So if you're thinking that you may need $1.7 million to retire, plus CPP and OAS, you're going to have about $90,000 after tax and adjusted for inflation for the rest of your life till age 95, which is a lot of money. That would be on the higher end of plans that we do. We do hundreds of plans here in our office for people right across Canada. This would be our higher net worth type of client. So do you need 1.7? I mean, if you have a high lifestyle, you definitely will. Now, the second thing I want to look here is, okay, this is 89,000, but you may be able to spend that now early in retirement, but later in retirement, you're never going to spend that. That's impossible to spend. So what if we kind of flipped it here and created a bit of a laddered income strategy, which I think is more realistic? So have that go, slow go, no stage of retirement. What does 89,000 equate to in that laddered income strategy? So looking at the software, I ran it out and we were able to ladder this. So from basically age 62 all the way down to age 75, they're going to get $100,000 after tax every single year in their pocket. Again, adjusted for inflation, a lot of money. Then it scales back to 85,000, and that runs from age 76 to 85. So that's kind of that slow go stage. You might be able to travel, there's less travel, there's just less going on in your life, you're not able to spend as much. And then I scaled it back to 65,000 from age 86 all the way to 95. And you can see there's still money left of 161,000. Now again, you can see here there's money left in the RRSP or the RIF at that point, which obviously we never do. I have not done tax planning in here, which is kind of my point. If I ran some proper tax planning within here, we'd probably be able to bump the income from 89,000 up to about 91,000, maybe 92 with CPP timing, better tax strategy, probably able to save this client, close to $500 to $1 million in taxes in a strategy like this. So we'll cover that in a future video, but I wanted to get across to all of you that maybe saw this article of I need 1.7 million, you're getting close to retirement and you only have 700,000 and you're starting to panic. I think you need to take a step back, realize that you probably don't need that 1.7 million unless you have a very expensive lifestyle. And if you're concerned, if you're getting close to retirement and you're concerned of like, do I have enough? Like maybe articles like this, it opens your eyes to, yeah, maybe I need to save more. Maybe I need to work longer. If you're not sure, I really do encourage you to get a financial plan put together. Talk to your financial advisor. If you don't have one, search one in your area or reach out to our office. We do financial planning for Canadians across the country. So it's important to get a plan in place. If you want to learn more about how we put plans together, the structure of it, and just look more at snap projections and the software that we use, we have a full 5-part series on that, on how we build out financial plans, and we'll link that now.